Sanskrit is a language of gods. They say it's only for gods.
Wow, that
Okay.
is not... Patanjali puts it brilliantly. Let me fall back on him.
Please.
He says, Heyam dukkham anagatam. It's not like you have to take care of sadness once it approaches you. You have to get rid of sadness before it even comes to you.
Beautiful. Is that why people actually say a word in Sanskrit can be multiple meanings?
A word has multiple meanings because what... Kavayami, vayami, yami.
Okay. If you take Varna Ashrama and Varnas of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudras, were Shudras not allowed to talk in Sanskrit?
Yeah, I might draw some flack for this on the internet, but let me say this very clearly. Brahmins by birth is the dumbest thing we have been just following. It is a language of people, of humans who live as gods, who have realized the divinity within.
How did you get into this passion of towards Sanskrit?
मुझे मजा आता है. मैं उस मजा हर
चीज everybody should experience
everybody
that
should
मजा.
experience. हर एक व्यक्ति को देना चाहता हूँ.
Namaskaram, Uday garu.
Namaskaram.
Thanks a lot for coming to our
pleasure.
podcast.
Thank you so much.
We would like to start with one Sanskrit word,
Okay.
which is shamata, which actually means may peace and tranquility be with you. This is an Upanishadic word, and we got it from our Gurudev, who actually has given us the path, which is called Mahagate. And this podcast, we've been running it for last 4 episodes. And this time, we are very blessed to have you here.
Thank you so much.
And
the word Shamata, that is the same word from Shambhu and Shankara. That is where Shamata is from. So it is the Tattva of Shiva himself. So it's great that we are starting.
Thank you for that great addition of the meaning.
My pleasure.
Thank you. And we've been following you since long.
Thank you.
And you've done a great job on getting a great language. I would not say call it revival because that's not the way it is, obviously.
It's Sanatana.
It's Sanatana.
Yes.
It can be revived. It
yes,
cannot
we
be
all
revived.
draw from it. Yeah.
So, how did you get into this passion of towards Sanskrit? I understand you're very young. You could have done an engineering and stopped there, and you could have gone to a foreign country.
Yeah.
But what made you like a linguistic interest in you? And did it start with a hobby, or was it like a... Okay.
Yeah. So that, I mean, it's not like I did not pursue that path. I was going in that direction. So that was what life had. And I was not planning anything consciously in my life. So whatever I was doing, the studies, the exams that I was writing, and my vision for the future looked as it would for everybody around me, which is work towards surviving better, get better at earning a good living, get into a good job, climb the corporate ladder, then go outside, mint money there, get a house. That was what I was. That was the track I was on. But since childhood, somehow there was this appreciation and there was this inclination towards languages, not Sanskrit in particular.
Any
but
language.
I used to relish languages. Na matrabhasha Telugu.
Excellent.
But Tamil, whenever that's I was born in Tamil Nadu, but intlo Telugu maatladevallam. So at home we used to speak Telugu, and that used to be our language of communication also at home. So this love for languages, when I came to Hyderabad, I picked up a little bit of Hindi, and every language that I would, I always used to pay this attention to the nuances of languages, of words in multiple languages, how something has the same sound irrespective of what world language it is being expressed in. So all of these nuances of languages I was very curious of, and that kind of found its, I would say, peak when I was looking for a hobby. When I got into corporate, I was like, what is this corporate life? It looked a little boring. I wanted something more artistic, something more juicy in life. So what is that can fill that kind of gap that I was facing in life? That is when Sanskrit happened. I had no clue whatsoever that it would lead lead me in this direction and become my whole pursuit of life. But I'm really glad that it did, and that is that hobby which started with conversational Sanskrit, which started with the Bhagavad Gita. So that was the first text that I picked up with no inclination towards any kind of spiritual depth of what Bhagavad Gita is. I just started it as some tool to pick up languages. So that kind of slowly drew me in and changed my entire course of life, and I'm really glad it did.
So when it started as a hobby, I'm sure you would have got some happiness when you did learn about it. Then why did you start a channel?
Oh, channel, slowly it was much further into it. So I started learning it. We were a small group of people, 3-4 individuals in my company, colleagues who were interested in the language. So we got together. One of them was slightly ahead. He already knew a little bit of Sanskrit. So he used to read the shlokas. We used to repeat it after him. And it was always just, that spark, that joy of experiencing Sanskrit firsthand, and realizing that these are all not esoteric concepts that are above us, but something which that I could very easily grasp with a little bit of introduction, with a little bit of background knowledge in my own mother tongue, which is Telugu, and a little bit of Tamil. I could so quickly pick up Sanskrit, and it was all so intuitive that it was always just absorbing more and more knowledge, just poring over texts of various kinds, from Kalidasa's works to different kinds of small Panchatantra stories and kavyas. When I started in that journey, when I came across Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, that is when I hit against I don't know what to call it, hit my head against a mountain of knowledge, and I had no clue how to grasp it. I was able to understand the meanings of the words, but knew that there is something more profound to it. That was my brush against spirituality.
So hobby got started. It started like a hobby, you
Yes.
said. How did it convert into a channel, and why why channel?
Very honestly, the channel started because of a need, because of a need for reach. So I have to step back a couple of years to get to the channel. So yes, it did start as a hobby. So it was just 4 people, like I said, and I was just getting enormous joy out of learning it, exploring various kinds of kavyas, very simple literature, as I thought it was back then. I knew that all of that was not so simple when I came across the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. That was my first hurdle, as I would call it, of Sanskrit language, because everything else felt very intuitive, very, relishable, enjoyable. But the first time there was I experienced, I would call it some pain, that what is this text? It just turned my world upside down. That because I was flying very high in my head that I am now an expert in Sanskrit. I thought back then, like 10 years ago, that I reached expert mode already. And when I started reading the Yoga Sutras, I realized that getting the meaning of it is something, exploring the words and the sounds and relishing it at the literary level is one thing, but there's something much more profound from which all of these expressions are coming from. So I wanted to explore that. So I quit my job. I knew that that takes much more serious pursuit. It takes full-time commitment to explore and realize what it is experientially, and not because whatever he said, Patanjali, as just one-liners were so deep. I knew their meaning, but I knew that I don't experientially know them for myself. So I went on that pursuit, which kind of obviously, my earnings took a beating. So it's a trade-off. So you have to be in the world and do something and get value back, or you have to, work on yourself, which doesn't, it's a trade-off between both of them. So I took that plunge, which many of my colleagues thought was the dumbest move of my life back then, but I'm very happy about it now again. So once I came back, and once I had that, once I put enough investment of time and effort in that direction in my life, I was also conducting spoken Sanskrit classes, workshops. In between, here and there, in temples I used to teach, in apartments to kids I used to teach. But I knew again that I need to find a reach. Whatever effort I'm putting, it needs to find I can't just keep teaching 10 students, and
Understood.
and because one of the main drives there again was, there is so much to learn for myself that I can't keep teaching the same Vyakarana Sutras, the same grammatical concepts, the same a couple of conversatory syllabus throughout my life, because that's what teaching unfortunately does, that you need to keep repeating the same stuff for every batch.
Right.
And I knew that there is such an ocean of knowledge for me to explore that I don't know. I you say I'm young and all that, but I feel that it's been too late. I got into it very late, so there's so much waiting for me to explore. So I thought, if I present some concept and present it and explain it well to an audience, people in the future, new students, can make use of that.
Wonderful.
And I can become a student of something new for myself.
So you wanted to make more Udays, so
that
that
is
people can learn more Sanskrit and actually can teach to more people.
for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Like मुझे मजा आता है. मैं उस मजा
मजा हर चीज everybody should experience
everybody
that
should
मजा.
experience. हर एक व्यक्ति को देना चाहता हूँ. It's like that.
So when you said you are too late, I also feel always that, right? When somebody says, Pawan, ये उम्र में why are you doing all these things? And they say 60 के बात करो. So I tell people 40 itself I'm feeling a lot of pain here, a lot of pain there to sit in a posture. I'm too late to do all these things actually. You are right. I think that realization comes in when you realize once it is working pretty good. So to do that, people should realize that there's a value in something.
True.
So what do you think we should do to make people realize it faster? What are a few things you did? Probably you would have done many things.
Yeah, I expressed it. I don't find too much hesitation now. I don't find
Please do it.
in expressing it that way. It comes out of a place of pain, that, and knowing that ignorance is not bliss.
Okay.
Knowing that ignorance is pain, because many people live in that zone that what I don't know cannot cause me any harm, but it is not so. There is, right? So somebody has to something. Unfortunately, this is the case for most of the people in the world, that not everybody is wise to realize that, to get on a spiritual path without experiencing that pain in their life, to see from others' experiences and learn that this is the path I should follow.
Correct.
Most of the people, once they find that pain, that personal strife of not knowing something, of many things in life, of things not working out, once this kind of questions, that why is life happening the way it is for me, why there are many situations that can lead people to that state, right? So
pain
basically all of us, Patanjali puts it brilliantly. Let me fall back on him.
Please.
He says, Heyam dukkham anagatam. It's not like you have to take care of sadness once it approaches you. You have to get rid of sadness before it even comes to you.
Beautiful.
You work on that. Anagatam dukkham heyam. So you need to work on troubles that are not yet there. It's not this saying, right? These exist as common knowledge, as sayings in our daily lives, that you can't start digging for a well when you feel thirsty. You have to prepare yourself in your life. So
told.
Before you find that stuff, suffering and strife, you need to work and make sure that you are in a place. Krishna puts it like as yogastha kuru karmani. Don't be in that rush to act in the world. Establish yourself first in how you are, how you approach things, how you are within yourself, how situations affect you, and how you approach them, and then act. It's not like you go act, do something, and then once you find some suffering, then you figure out what to do now and how to handle myself now. So coming back to your question, to a very specific question of how do we get people to realize that value in it. It is the course of things. That is what everybody is going towards. It is inevitable that people will turn spiritual if they go in the materialistic pursuit. Even if somebody is just involved deeply in sensory pleasures, has no regard for anything fine in life, and just wants to drink, make merry, just go to sleep.
Okay.
If he does that intensely enough, it will eventually lead towards spirituality, is what my finding has been.
Wonderful.
It is not that we have to do something, but I mean, what I again think is, if I am not in any kind of an activist mode to promote Sanskrit,
Okay.
I am in a student mode. I love exploring this for myself.
Okay.
And The day I stop finding joy in that and go behind some other pursuit of how do I get, how do I make somebody else love this, I first see what makes me, brings me that joy in exploring Sanskrit, and I love exploring that. And people somewhere, I think, realize that, okay, isko itna maza aa raha hai, kya hai usme? So I
Okay.
think that is what
So
the spark was.
when you see people, I'm sure when you would have got it, or let me know if you have not got it, I'll be surprised. Did anybody say, "Kya kar raha hai tu? Why are you doing this,
Oh, yeah,
man?
yeah.
Like, why?
Yeah.
Sanskrit
Yeah,
is like
yeah.
gone, man. You're gone case."
Yes.
So when you see that, sometimes when we do that in Dharma, a lot of people actually call me and said, "Kya sannyas le raha kya tu?" I said, "Oh, bahut dur hai. I'm grihastha." So I'm happy being very grihastha, and I'll take vanaprastha and then take sannyas. But when other people think, मेरे को हंसी आता है, आपको like what did you face in your life where people told you कि what is this nonsense you are going through possibly, or why बेटा अभी क्यों?
Right.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah, the people did ask me, and
They still ask you?
yeah, no, not now. You know what? Success speaks for itself in some ways. Unfortunately,
I love it. I love
fortunately, once you get to a certain reach, once people find value, and even the unfortunate thing is the people closest to you are the ones who those who have your best
They're the best
wishes
hecklers,
for
we call
yeah who wish the best for you are the ones who pull you back also the strongest.
I know.
That don't go in this direction, maybe it's not safe, you have something safe and stable going on, why do you want to pursue this? You can still do your do it parallelly. Why do you want to get rid of something and then go in this uncertain direction? But what gave me that blind kind of, I wouldn't call it blind, I was very clear where I was going,
strong,
but
I would say.
yeah,
It's very strong.
what gave me that kind of push within myself was that I was hooked to what it has to offer. I could see that clearly. Other people who did not see the kind of value that exists in it, still a large fraction of society does not.
Correct.
There's still this question keeps coming up, right? What exists in it that you have to go behind it so doggedly. Every single shastra, every field of study that the ancients have done, there are hundreds and hundreds of texts that exist in Sanskrit, and they are so relishable, so profound. Even something as simple as I call it simple because it is very easy to understand. Valmiki Ramayana has so many layers of meaning. I call it simple. I know many people might get offended, but it is one of the most relishable, very easy to approach, and very poetically, grammatically in its structure, very simple. But the layers and layers of value one can derive out of it, the number of ways in which it adds value in our life, it's immense. Once you get a taste for it, I don't think
like loving it.
Yeah, it's like any other field, right? Once you get hooked, you just go in that direction.
One question I had was, Sanskrit language is so complex, but you just said it is not. So I would like to understand what are the people should go through to make it like. Is it like somebody has to make it simple, or is it simple that we made it complex? Where did that notion came that Sanskrit is too complex?
It is very complex.
Okay.
And it is very enjoyable. If something is not too complex, how can it has so many different flavors? If it's something very simplistic, like it's not some curd
Like
rice.
eating a water,
It's not very simple. Yeah. It has enormous amount of complexity to it. Okay. It's very complex. You can just you can dive into it and it will just keep you engaged for life.
Wonderful.
So there are so many layers and layers of interpretations, so many such possibility exists in Sanskrit that you can weave magic out of it, out of the sounds in it. How does one approach it? To approach this language, though, it is very simple. There are just 14 sounds.
That's it.
Most people, 14. That's it. And the stories about it, it's also not like these 14 what I'm talking about are the basis, the root sounds of Sanskrit. This is what forms the base matrix of Sanskrit sounds vocabulary. And how it is presented is also very beautiful, that these sounds came from Shiva's Damaru. When at the end of his Tandava, these 14 sounds came about. Okay. That's it. If you really learn these 14 and really, if you know these 14 sounds, that's it.
Can you tell us those 14 sounds?
A, I, Un, rilruk, a ong, I ouch. These are the first four set of sounds. I un rilruk, a ong, I ouch. And from a to uch, whatever is present, I started with a and I ouch. These a to uch are achulu. You might have known.
Yeah.
So ach, that is where it comes from. That word achulu.
Oh, okay.
They form the vowels.
Okay.
And then I ouch, hayavarat, lan, nyamangananam, jabhanya, gada dash, jabagada dash, khapa chatata, chatatav, kapai, shashasar, hal. These are the next 9.
Okay.
There's 9 plus that 5, these 14 sounds. That's it.
That's all.
That's all. And these 14 sounds came from Shiva's Damaru and they form the Sanskrit alphabet, is what the story goes. And Panini, based on this, Panini, the great sage, everybody knows, took these and wrote almost 4,000 rules of Sanskrit grammar. Just based on these.
Just based on this 14.
Just based on this. He says, for Gunasandhi, that most people might know, if anybody who has learned regional languages, he says Gunasandhi is Iko Yanachi. That's a formula for Gunasandhi. What is ik? What is yan? What is ach? Iko yanachi, that's it. Can you even imagine? Iko yanachi. 5 syllables.
Right.
No longer than 5 syllables in a sentence. And that encapsulates the entire formula for Gunasandhi, how sounds come together and form new sounds. So ik is e to k, whatever sounds are there, becomes yan, the sounds from ya to n in Maheshwara Sutrani, when they combine with ach, a to ach, whatever sounds exist. So this plus this gives rise to this. That's it.
Wow.
From where are those ingredients present? In this matrix of Maheshwara Sutrani, the 14 sounds. The same 14 sounds Nandi heard, they say, the story goes.
Okay.
And he gave out a commentary, Nandikeshwara Kashika it is called, on how the entire creation sprang forth.
Okay.
So what is the sound a? What does it represent? What akaraha brahmarupa syat nirgunaha sarvavastushu. So the first sound that came into existence is a, and that it is the attributeless presence in all of creation, everything that exists. So then he comes about describing what E is. And then what is Jagadrupa Un Ishvara, he says. Then what is Un? And he goes about E is the consciousness with which it comes together, and then the materialistic creation sprung forth, and that is known by the sound Un. All of this, again, whatever I'm saying, is at the level of information.
Okay.
But these are also concepts that can be meditated upon and realized as truths of existence, and that is a whole skill in itself. The whole pursuit of yoga and sharpening one's perception to such a state that one perceives the entire creation as sound, and that is where the final state is. So just 14 sounds.
14 sounds.
Simple enough. If you want complexity, from there you can go towards what kind of complexity? Mathematical complexity, you go towards Panini's Ashtadhyayi, which has 4,000 rules of grammar, mixing all these 14 sounds, mixing, matching, making new recipes of words and sounds. If you want a spiritual angle to it, of course, all of it is rooted in that prajna, in that perception. Go towards Nandikeshwara Kashika, experience that. So the gateway is very simple. How deep you want to go into it is extremely complex.
So I think you explained us the great significance of Sanskrit and the way it came in, and beautifully explained about the 14 making the things of whatever.
Everything there is to know in Sanskrit, just 14 sounds.
It's beautiful. So we all been told, and you can correct us, all of us who are having this myth, if it is myth, that Sanskrit is a language of gods. They say it's only for gods.
Wow, that is not.
So no. Sanskrit, the only gods will talk about it.
Oh my
we
God.
are human beings, mere mortals, can't learn, can't talk.
Wow.
This is a lot of myth people actually have. So is it first? You laughed at it, so I love that.
No,
it is
why
not
I
a
laughed?
fact.
No. Why I laughed was I know Sanskrit is. This exists in the world, that Sanskrit is a language of gods. But nobody, I haven't come across this notion that, okay, it's only for gods, then it's
many
not
of them.
Really?
They say that you have to be either godly or God to talk about this. So it's not applicable to now for human beings. That's one. And a lot of people actually think it's an ancient language, probably spoken 5,000 years back, probably. I don't know the date. You can add that in your answer. When was it last heavily spoken? Last age when it was heavily spoken, when it came down and stopped speaking? Because we don't speak Sanskrit anymore in most of our homes.
True.
I would say 99% of the homes.
Unfortunately, yes.
Unfortunately. So if you can relate, is that true, that part of only gods? Second, where we lost the region? And how is it important for now in the modern world? I asked 3 questions together, but
Sure.
you can. Let's start with the concept of, is it only for
So,
gods?
yeah. So clearly there are texts with conversations between people in Sanskrit. And there are, if somebody, there is a very popular poem, there is a very popular story where a king in the past, I think it was Krishna Devaraya or Bhoja was it? I think it is King Bhoja. He wanted to find who is the dumbest guy in the kingdom.
Okay.
He wanted everybody in his kingdom to be literate, educated. He wanted to see who is the dumbest guy, who is an illiterate guy.
Right.
Bring him, and we'll expel him or dole out punishment, and we want to set an example, make an example out of him, so that everybody is motivated to become more literate. So the minister goes, everybody everywhere he sees people are very fluent, very they're all very scholarly, and somewhere he finds a poor weaver
Okay.
weaving wicker baskets.
Yeah.
And he thinks, okay, this guy poor,
Should
lives
not
in a,
be,
he must be the he might not be too literate, he might be the dumbest guy in the kingdom. Grabs hold of him, brings to the court, and there that weaver apparently he composes a shloka. I'll not go into the whole thing, but he says kavayami vayami yami.
Okay.
Yami means I'll leave, vayami is I will weave, kavayami is I'll weave out poetry, kavita.
Okay, right.
So he says, what is this wasteful activity you are engaging yourself in?
Okay.
If you want me to actually entertain you, I'll kavayami.
Okay.
Otherwise, I'll weave
weave
myself.
myself.
Now I'll take your leave. I'll go. And he is like, oh, wow, this is the level of a weaver. And there are many stories that give us enough certainty that this was not some language of the elite or only of firstly, this was a language of humans, first point.
Yeah.
And it was not just a language of elite class. Everybody knew it.
Excellent.
And it definitely, what you said is truth. We have to face it now, despite many people claiming, no, Sanskrit is my mother tongue. If you don't speak it at home, it is not. Please. So we need to bring conversational fluency, conversational grasp, and some fluency in conversation into everybody's homes. And there are organizations really working and striving towards this. Sanskrit Bharati being at the forefront of this effort. But and spoken Sanskrit also brings so much more. Why should we do it? Is it we'll come to is what do we get if we speak in this language?
Perfect. Yeah.
Right now we are speaking in English, so language is not just for some to and fro conversation. Now, not just to it's how thoughts are structured. We think. Language is also the how do I put it? It is yes. It is one of the most finer aspects of human capabilities. So after thought, the subtlest physical expression of a human being, thought, which can be directed outwards. I mean, even subtler, there are spiritual aspects of it, but thought being at the physical plane
is
still,
language.
After that, the subtlest is language. So that is one of the highest expressions of how refined we can conduct ourselves in this world.
Oh, okay.
Right? So it is, and why speak in Sanskrit? What does one get? Idanimeva yadi vayam samskrita madhyamena sambhashanam idanim asmakam sambhashanam samskrita madhyame bhavati. It sounds much more right, does it?
I know.
Tasya madhuryam va tasya prabhavah va इतोपि अधिकतरं भवति खलु. तत्र तु सन्देहः नास्ति एव. And it is possible. It is not that it is not possible. There are thousands of people, tens of thousands, unfortunately, but they exist. It's not like it's only a growing breed now. It used to be in a declining slope, but now more and more people, thanks to many efforts of many, many wonderful people.
One of them is you.
I try my little bit in Telugu, the Rama's Udata Bhakti somewhere that I try to do that. But it's like how you said, right? How you asked, once people get hooked to it, once you know how your mouth feels and how words roll from your tongue.
Correct.
There is A and there is B, there is C and there is a D. What logical progression does that even make in the mouth?
No.
There is A, E, U. There is from outside slowly moving
harmony.
Outward. There is harmony.
Yeah.
From K to P, all the consonants move outwards. I've made this video. There are millions of views on it, but this is still this is still new information to many people. So I'll repeat that. The consonants are so beautifully arranged in Sanskrit alphabet itself that Ka, Kha, Ga, Gha, Nga. All the consonants from the first row of the alphabet of Sanskrit language. And in Sanskrit Telugu grammar is where influenced every other Indian language and its grammar, including Tamil. Tamil also it is Ka, Nga. So we don't have Ka and Ga, we don't have all that Mahapranas. It's much more simplistic. But all those first consonants from the pit of the throat. Next one, Cha, Cha, Ja, Jha, Nya. One level outside. From the pit, it is moving out.
Right.
People can experiment with this. Cha, Cha, Ja, Jha, Nya. All these from the tongue and the palate meeting. Next, Ta, Tha, Da, Dha, Na. All of them from the tongue flicking against the roof of the mouth. Ta, Tha, Da, Dha, Na. Little outwards. From the tongue against the teeth, upper row of teeth. Slowly outwards. From the palate, it is now the teeth. Last, Pa, Pa, Ba, Bha, Ma. Ending at the lips.
My goodness.
This level of complexity, this is not just for some intellectual high that it has been arranged like this, right? So this means that it is very closely associated with the human body and the human physiology. Sanskrit is the language of gods. It is a language of people, of humans who live as gods, who have realized the divinity within. Undoubtedly giants and greats like Ramana Maharshi, Ramakrishna Paramhamsa. If people have, any kind of hesitation following people, the thing is, we don't have any problem ascribing greatness and divinity to people who have passed. But if they walk among us now, we have a great problem. That's
a rule which is there. I feel so that contemporaries are never.
Yeah, somehow we
don't believe in
this again is a very Western thing, right? So in Sanskrit circles, the term is Preta Puja. Somebody who is
right.
Somebody who has left, we have no problem.
No problem,
But somebody who is living, who shine as examples, they have, Sanskrit just emanates from them, exudes from them. They live Sanskrit, they live that language.
You actually told it. Sanskrit is a language for gods only. I would turn it out that if you read Sanskrit, you can become gods.
It is one of the paths towards divinity. Exactly.
So if you want to become God, and that's what...
My answers tend to be a little roundabout. Being a teacher, I tend to try to explain things for 15 minutes. But that's a
I got the essence because what you actually said is you have the capability, and that's what Sanatana Dharma talks, that you can be God.
Yes.
So you are God actually. Let me correct myself. You are God, but you can realize it because we don't generally realize it.
No, to function in this world with, you exist as you separately, I exist as I separately, but what is God within both of us is the same. Exactly. That understanding we have, that is the first
thing which Dharma talks about, right?
Exactly. So, and that is what unites all these traditions.
Beautiful.
That all these different
Sanskrit
paths.
actually can show you the God more.
Exactly. Sanskrit is God for me.
Yeah,
If this is making my life great, this is God for me. I'll bow down to it. There, it exists.
That's why we bow down to anything which we see, anything which is living,
cloud,
non-living,
sky,
everything we have.
leaf,
Leaf.
nothing, space, Chidambaram. So how beautiful an expression
Yeah.
of divinity is, just looking at everything as an expression of the divine.
Beauty.
So Sanskrit language is, there are many tools. It's not the only tool. Again, people have problem. Oh, should I only, is this your only way? Are you selling me something?
No, you're right.
A ticket to God only you are. So everything has a rebuttal, right?
No, I keep
So
telling people
Yeah.
in case of Hyderabad, if you have to go to Gachibowli to Dilshiner, there are
Right.
many buses,
Yeah.
cars, trains.
Yeah, exactly.
You can metro, you can take anything.
Absolutely.
It's up to you.
Yeah.
And
Nowadays, people have, Bhakti Yoga people versus Kriya Yoga people versus Hatha Yoga people. This is also happening.
Versus is not there.
Yeah.
At least Sanatana Dharma, we never had versus.
Exactly.
You
So
can have different paths.
yeah. So Sanskrit is this the only ticket to divinity? Not at all. But if
One
you
of
go in that direction, it is natural that all of these aspects start blooming within you. Even somebody who is just purely, I am a true jnana yogi, I'll not go give into all this bhakti and everything. Once your intellect and once your keenness of intellect also blossoms to a degree, devotion is natural. It will bloom.
It'll come, yeah.
So Sanskrit is also like that.
Beautiful.
It
So,
can-
coming back to your channel, you have got so many followers, and I'm sure many of them would have come to you about their experience, about how they felt after seeing it, or they had come back and shared with you. This is what happened. And
Yeah.
all. Can you share us with some important things or a few things? Which,
I am very grateful that I did find that reach, and people are. I've had some fortunate moments where people have been touched by some of the content that I had the privilege of making.
Beautiful.
Most of them are the most profound things that people connect with is, of course, something that corresponds to their deity of worship, either Lalita Sahasranama or Vishnu Sahasranama. Or Saundarya Lahari, Shiva Tandava Stotram, many people connect with. But so there have been moments where I've seen people like this help me from my life situation. They were going through some kind of traumatic phase and they were prescribed some stotra as a remedy. So when people find that solutions to life situations that they're going through, then they're really touched by that, and I'm very grateful that I can it can work in that sense. I'll leave it, but there is more to it. It's not just
So,
palliative care that Sanskrit can provide. It's just a pursuit. It's much beyond all of that, and I love it when people actually relish Sanskrit just for the rhythm of it, the sounds of it. So how beautiful do these words roll, and any concept that we want to express or utter or identify in this world, Sanskrit terms tend to hit them closest. So dharma. So how do we translate that word dharma? What is dharma here? So it doesn't exist. So the sound for that principle, is it a principle? Is it something that you live by? Is it a way of life? What is it? It is dharma. That's it. It is
we've been, in fact, our podcast, we've been getting different definitions of dharma, and you will not believe me. I've got about 11 already written for definitions.
Exactly.
There are 11 million for sure.
So Sanskrit words they have this nature of encapsulating and presenting what the essence of something that needs to be expressed is.
Excellent.
In a very wholesome way. So the word is that sound, vak is that artha, and the artha is that vak.
Is that why people actually say a word in Sanskrit can be multiple meanings? Or is it incorrect?
So a word has multiple meanings because what the word is conveying is a phenomena or a quality of something.
Okay.
So the most common example is padapa or khaga. There are multiple examples. So kha represents space. That is why sukha is being in a good space. If you are in a good space, you are sukha. if you're going through a bad space,
Okay.
dukkha.
Uh-huh.
Kha, ga means going.
Okay.
So, gati, gamana, so all of that comes from the sound ga. Even go has that same sound in it. But kha, ga is something that moves through space.
Okay.
It can mean the sun, it can mean a plane, it can mean us, it can mean any damn thing.
Any going.
Anything that, everything moves. What doesn't move
What
through
doesn't
space? So that is the thing. So if somebody says a bird is a khaga, yes it is. If somebody says sun is a khaga, yes it is. You are a khaga.
So the context.
But does that mean khaga as a word, is it ambiguous? No, it is not.
Okay.
It is very clear in its definition.
It's multi-purpose.
Exactly. It is denoting something that is happening. So same way, a couple of days ago, I found out that the word Radha is also used for amla in Sanskrit.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
That which holds some juice, that which is juicy is Radha. Can you beat this?
Okay.
Yeah. Rasa nishpandane, it says. That which holds that rasa. So there is no the rasa, rasa, radha.
Oh.
If we go down this rabbit hole, right, the amount of neuronal firing that happens in the brain for those who are very technically inclined is enormous.
Beautiful.
So, yeah.
So I'll come to little facts or misconceptions. I don't know what. So we do this myths and fact buster in our Dharma speaks. So we do a lot on Mahabharata.
What needs to be busting, let's bust it.
So one, you should tell me whether it is a myth or a fact that Sanskrit was not accessible to a varna called Shudras. I'll not even go to the caste part of it.
Okay.
Caste is something which is not arts for sure. But even if you take Varna Ashrama and Varnas of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudras, were Shudras not allowed to talk in Sanskrit?
Yeah.
I just want to know. And were they punished to speak in Sanskrit?
Oh, Chevullo Sisam Posar.
Exactly.
Okay. So, I will answer this question, but I have to acknowledge that there was oppression. It is not like there was no oppression. Even now, there are many situations. I've seen this. Wherever there is, humans, unfortunately, try to consolidate power, exploit it. It happens every day in terms of societal power, in terms of economic power, in terms of anything that one can, use to rise oneself and, put down the other. They have been doing it. So it did exist. There were a group of people who were limited to those to menial jobs in the society, and even to this day there is a lot of oppression that happens in that sense. But the root of it, the 4 Varna system, let's come to that, was were they not allowed? They were not allowed. Blatantly. There's no two ways about it. We can't deny that fact, and there needs to be corrections that need to be made in this direction. We can't deny that.
Right. Okay.
When Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that Chaturvarnyam Maya Srishtam, I've created them, he says.
Correct.
It's not that Krishna as a man has now come and said, no, you guys, this group, 4 different groups.
Right.
Whenever he refers to himself after 6th or the 7th adhyaya, as every time he refers to himself, he is referring to that divinity within himself. Now there is no longer a question that he is God. He is God. But once you say he is God, he is no longer that same Krishna who was running around and engaging with the world and doing other kinds of activities. He is now talking from the sense of that divinity that he has realized within himself. He is now that Paramatma himself. Now he says, based on that self within, that Atma within, based on guna and karma, whatever actions that are being performed, once again he says, we think, now I think, and we all in the illusion of our ahankara, we think, okay, now I'm doing this, I'm doing that. None of your real self is not a doer of any damn thing. It's just a witness. And many people have expressed this. They keep saying this to us again and again. What you really are within are just a witness. Whatever actions that you're performing are based on 3 different tendencies of sattva, rajas and tamas, guna, and different kinds of karma. Based on those, and our objective in the world is based on what kind of gunas we have, that kind of consequences we face.
Perfect.
Simple enough. Life, how this is the blueprint of life. Based on that, on gunas and karmas, there are 4 different spectrum of people.
Okay.
So that is where the Varna Vyavastha lies. People who give into the baser tendencies of life, of food and sleep, which are again, if this can be mapped again to the physiological interpretation that I was saying about that, at the base of the spine kind of instincts. If somebody is just engaged in that, just food, if I just get my sensory pleasures, I'm happy.
Predominantly tamoguna.
They don't, tamas, sattva, rajas and tamas, the lower of them. Exactly. They naturally, by their tendencies and their attributes, don't find this enjoyable. It's what is the point? It's not that you can't read it, you won't come.
So there's no fun to them.
Yeah, exactly. So even
what's
if
the point in pushing it to them?
No, it's even if somebody works on themselves and rises to sattva, even rajas, that that natural tendency and inclination happens, and they learn and they find gurus, and there have been people who found their gurus, and who it naturally blossoms those kind of pursuits.
So you are saying there were people who are born Shudras. Obviously, I feel and I believe we are all born Shudras.
Janmana jayate Shudra is another. There are
So slowly, when we have our gunas raising, then we get to like Sanskrit, probably the language or the intellectuality or wisdom. And then we automatically become whatever the Varna Ashrama.
I might draw some flack for this on the internet, but let me say this very clearly. Brahmins by birth is the dumbest thing we have been just following. Even that, so okay, you are born somewhere in this caste, so your son is also that, but he's doing something else. His tendencies, what his tendencies are, what his actions are somewhere else, but he's now a Brahmin by birth, is senseless.
It's like saying son of a doctor is by birth doctor.
Exactly. They say
how is it possible?
Yeah, exactly. Right. This is nepotism at its most basest function, which is your own self. You're nobody is getting fooled by it. So even if to such a person you start teaching the Vedas, of course he is not going to relish that.
And I'm sure many of the Brahmins who are born now don't know Vedas or don't read.
Unfortunately, that is the case, but they go about in the world with that sense of authority. Not all of them. I'm not blaming everybody, but to answer your question again, it was institutionalized. This became an institution. Jati became more important. Jati is a really oppressive phenomenon. There is some sense, I'm not again trying to back up something which is unfair, but generally the way life functions, it functions so that somebody who is born in that womb will have those tendencies. Jati, it's not like Jati has no basis at all. Somebody is born there means that he has done something in his past life, or somebody, depending on what his gunas are. It's not arbitrary that his birth happened in that family. That exists.
So, as told in Bhagavad Gita, he says, you will be born into the yoni.
Shuchinam Shrimatam Gehe, Yoga Bhrashto Vijayat.
So, you are born based on your tendencies. So, I want that tendency, so I'll be born in that, is what they say.
Exactly.
But obviously, generalization is something
definitely not. And there is always individual
growth.
There is always individual strife, and that is
should not
paramount.
Be like
that is
picked
paramount.
Up as saying, okay, you are born, so you can't do anything.
Exactly.
Sure.
As soon as it becomes institutionalized that okay, now you are born in this.
Your born case is the wrong
thing.
That's a great answer. Thank you, Uday, because I've been telling to many people that it's not like anybody who's by birth, and even that is told by Yudhishthira, that is told by Sri Krishna, that is told in many of the scriptures. But somehow we have got it institutional by birth.
Yeah, and I again, after debunking that it is not by birth, I have to add this because people now it is a subtle, it is a nuanced thing. Yeah, it is a nuanced field. It's not. The truth lies somewhere in between. That your birth did not happen arbitrarily in that family. There is some merit, something that has happened.
So coming back to that part, like I've been always fascinated, right? How the birth happens. The prana is, as I don't know, I'm not a biology expert, When does the prana come into womb is probably third month or second month, they say, when the prana enters into that. And I have read Swami Vivekananda where he explains very clearly that you choose your parents. Because these are the prarabdha karma.
Yeah.
This is sanchita I have full, and I have to take this part of it this time.
There was enormous. There was whole science behind how to make sure that the right kind of
Birth take place.
right kind of soul enters that womb.
Yeah.
So initially it's just a mass of flesh.
Yes.
So what kind of life resides in that depends on the mother's and the father's tendencies, and that is the kind of traits that ball of flesh will attract. So it can be an asuric.
Possibly.
So there is, from the mettalu, that the toe rings to how the garbhini is taken care of, the kind of chants, the kind of ambience, the kind of foods. There are these traditions made sure that everything happens towards society's upliftment, and more when people say that this whole culture was crafted towards rising of human consciousness.
Correct.
Everything, all of these come to play, right? From the utensils that we eat in, what kind of substances that we eat, how we sit, how we greet people, when does our day start, what sounds it starts with, what do we do after getting up.
So it's all about growth.
Yeah, crafted very consciously.
Beautiful.
To rise human consciousness and to make them to bring them from asat to sat and tamas to jyoti. The whole system, from the simplest of chant to the most complex of Vedas, everything is curated towards rising the energy upwards so that people find that liberation and grow beyond this compulsive physical tendencies.
So beautiful. When you told science and we were discussing on the science, let me add you one information, and you can say whether you heard it or it's a fact or not.
Sure.
I've heard, and again we have to validate before we state it as a fact, that science is saying in terms of AI, artificial intelligence, when you talk about natural language processing, and they tried many languages to process, they say AI was able to learn Sanskrit faster. I don't know. I'll have to validate. Maybe. But if you
this is the place. Now the way I answer this question is why I don't get views in millions, because I can say yes, of course, Sanskrit has
then
everything.
We get 2 million views
and
just do everything.
But for genuine seekers of Sanskrit,
Dharma speaks.